Welcome Sagittarius and Sagittarius crosswatchers. So I hope you guys have all had a great week, and that the weekend's shaping up to be good. Oops. So thanks for stopping by my channel. I'm happy to have you here. If you're new, I do, and then, wow. And I have the longer reads that come out every Thursday. Woo! Like, is it hot in here? Oh, then we have the Queen of Swords. Oh. Saggy. You know I love you guys. I have a lot of Sag in my chart. Sun, Moon, Mercury, and I think Uranus or something. Anyway. There seems to be somebody here that is very interested in you. I don't know if you can see the look on this person's face, but it's like, it's almost like they're trying to check you out. And I feel it's like they're being obvious, but not about it. You know what I mean? It's like they might kind of like, look around somebody to catch a glimpse of you, but it seems like their facial expressions aren't very, it's like they don't betray them. You know what I mean? Some people, it's like they might not say anything, but their face starts talking. Like the look on their face tells you everything you need to know. I feel like this person expresses themselves more in body language. So anyway, we have will and resilience for the overall energy. So, it's clear, Sag, that I feel like you're turning a corner here. It feels like you... it's almost like your heart seems to be breaking through something that's been going on up in your head. And I kind of feel like this is where your heart's at, but this is where your head's at. You know what I mean? It's almost like, and that's not to say that like, oh, your heart's more evolved or something like that. I actually feel like that's because your head's been, I want to say like doing all the work. I feel like it's been pushing you forward, that you have been having to overcome a lot of stuff. It's almost like up in your head, you've been doing all the divine masculine work. So it's all like taking action and pulling out certain thought patterns and replacing them with something new and really pushing yourself to level up. But I feel like to a certain extent, your heart has just had to kind of, in the divine feminine energy, like, just kind of allowing, accepting, releasing, kind of accepting life as it is. I do want to say here, Sag, whatever's going on for you internally actually seems to be pretty well hidden from this person, because I feel like they actually, and please don't get too hung up on the gender that's on the cards, okay? But the look that this person is giving you, it's like you're a tasty... Sorry. I feel like, is this inappropriate to say? I'll make sure it's family friendly. It's like you're a tasty snack and they can't wait to get home and take off the wrapper. Like they are really, really attracted to you. And I feel like what's really interesting is that it's not just physical, right? I feel like this person may be somebody that's actually quite intelligent. I feel like they may be around people that don't want to carry on intellectual conversations. Now, that's not to say that this person is more or less intelligent than the people are around. It's not to put anybody above or below any, because it's not about that. It's just what people prefer to talk about, right? So it's like this person seems to really, wow, the energy's pretty strong in here. This person seems to really enjoy the kind of topics of conversation that you seem to bring into their realm. It's like you seem to give this person a lot of food for thought. I feel like it's almost like you may perceive situations very differently than a lot of people, and they find that really intriguing. I feel like this person could kind of sit there and listen to you, almost like think out loud, and they would enjoy every moment of it. I feel like in the same way that this person expresses themselves in a very physical way, and I'm just realizing you can't see the card. Sorry, guys. probably should look at the camera once in a while instead of the cards. So I feel like in the same way that this person expresses themselves through their body language, you still can't see it. There we go. Through their body language, I feel like they also seem to pick up a lot of information in that same way. So it's like all of your nonverbal communication, the body language, the inflection in your voice, it's like the pauses, and when you get a little bit faster in your speech because there's something that's like you're almost kind of like building up to it. It's like it's a whole. Don't take this the wrong way, but it's like a whole performance. Not that you're performing, but to them, it's like it's entertaining in a way that really, it's like the more they know about you, the more they want to know, if that makes sense. So I think we'll start on your person side here. I do want to mention, so you have all minor arcana over here. So the minor arcana usually talks about changes that are kind of day-to-day life. Now let me be clear. That's not to downplay, excuse me, anything that you've been experiencing, because it's clear that you had a bit to overcome here. But I feel like it's almost like you're kind of I feel like you have some forward movement in whatever you're doing, obviously. But you're not making any of those big changes now. I feel like you made the decision to make changes, and now you're kind of in the motion of doing that, right? So it's almost like you have a bit of momentum behind you. With your person, they have a couple of major arcana and then a core card. So whatever's going on with your person right now, it's like there's big changes, right? The Wheel of Fortune talks about karma, or that the Wheel of Fortune turning in your favor, but it also talks about when it's turning in your favor, it's turning the way that you have pulled it to go, right? So if you've put in the time and the effort, and this person, their energy is so strong. They seem to see you as their reward. And I feel to a certain extent, it's like they're getting a little bit antsy to enjoy their reward. But I feel like at the same time, they also seem to enjoy the wait, the anticipation. They seem to, it's almost like they don't like it when things are too easy. Their energy is super strong. But I feel like to a certain extent, it's like they seem to feel like they seem to feel that they kind of deserve you. And that's not in a negative light at all. It's like they feel like they seem to feel that it's like you're the perfect addition to this last, I guess you could say, like, spot in their life that they want to fill. For example, this person of royalty is looking for their king or queen, or how you choose to identify, to sit next to them. And they seem to really see you as somebody that it's like you already fill that role. Maybe not in their life just yet, but they already see you that way. It's kind of like this person doesn't want to take I'm not saying this to be crappy to anybody, but it's like this person doesn't want to take a peasant off the street and put them in the throne and have to mold that person into their partner, right? It's like they want to bring somebody in that's going to kind of expand their universe, if you will. You know what I mean? It's like they want somebody that I want to say, like, has their own ideas and their own this and their own that. I guess you could say that they're looking for that Emperor, Empress energy, right? And I feel like the only reason this isn't an Emperor is because of this. It doesn't feel like it's a huge, check mark in the con box for this person. But I feel like the physical aspect of relationships may be something that this person, at times they might let that drive them, you know what I mean? I do feel to a certain extent that they obviously see more with you. But I'm kind of I feel like this person kind of gives into those urges to the extent that even if you didn't kind of offer what you do in terms of intellectual stimulation and conversationalism, I don't know what to call that. Being a good conversationalist, especially geared towards this person, I actually feel like they would try to make you fit because the physical attraction is so strong. Now, that's not to say that that's the case that's actually happening here. I feel like to a certain extent, you may be a bit more open-minded, maybe not progressive, but it's like there are some things that might be on the outskirts of what this person understands, if that makes sense. So they definitely, I feel like there's something here about this person. They do seem to want to, move this along. And I feel like to a certain extent, it's almost like something seems to be coming up and saying to them, like, you gotta give Sag a second here. Because I feel like it's almost like they have to just enjoy, like they can look but they can't touch just yet. I feel like it's it doesn't feel like they're being terribly impatient necessarily. It's like they would like it to move faster than it is, of course, but they actually seem to have a certain wisdom about them that sometimes the King of Wands can be lacking, but this person doesn't seem to do that. It's like when somebody tells them to wait in the right manner or like with the right motive, this person's like, oh yeah, okay, cool, I'm gonna wait. You know what I mean? It's like they're not foolish. They're not that impulsive. So then we have the Death card as what's in their heart. So here's the almost like the juxtaposition between the energy we were just talking about and in this person's heart space. It's like they've taken a real beating in love. I feel like this person has been I feel like people have drained them. I feel like they have been I want to say like they've been knocked down and they've had to get up again and again and again. And it feels like every time that that's happened, they've had to lose a little bit of themselves. But I feel like instead of them allowing that to defeat them, I feel like they look at it like, well, now I'm standing up straighter because I don't have all that weight pushing me down. It doesn't feel so much like it's, bravado. They might act a little bit like that if came up in conversation, but and it does feel like this person's a king, they're not quite the emperor, right? So, or sorry, this person's a king or a queen, not quite the empress or emperor. So it's not so much that that it isn't a bit of bravado, but I feel like to a certain extent they want to impress you here, right? So it's not like they're going to sit here and talk about their weaknesses straight out of the gate, right? They seem to want to have like a really fun time with you. You know what I mean? It's like, of course, everybody wants to have fun, but it's like they want it to be lighthearted. They want it to be fun. They want to get to know, well, actually, they feel like they know you already, but they want you to get to know them without all of that. You know what I mean? It's like to them, it's like that's the past. We're not gonna sit there. We're not gonna dwell on it. And like, no, they're not gonna dwell on it. But the effect of it is, it's still there, right? And what I really love about this person, actually, and that's just my, my own personal opinion. So you can throw that out the window if you want. Is that it's like this is the kind of person that maybe when life is kind of beating them up, it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean, that they're not suffering to a certain extent, but it's like they're happy to be in it. There's a song from, I think it's either Inner Ninja or That's What I Do by Classify. And the line is, I'd rather lose the fight than miss the war. And that's this one. You know what I mean? I feel like there's this real zest for life. And it's like they don't walk through life expecting everything to be easy, expecting everything to work out. It's like there's some things that they walk into looking at it like, you know what, yeah, I might not get, best case scenario out of this situation, but just to be here, just to do it, just to live it and be it, I'm down. So I feel like the adventurous spirit with this person, which of course is a match to Saggy energy, right? But I feel to a certain extent that this person, because it's more about the experience rather than winning or losing to them, I feel like, and because you're coming off of some, challenging energy here, and I'm kind of seeing you as this Queen of Swords over here, or King of Swords, or how you choose to identify. So it just feels that this person is in a place where they're more adventurous than you at this time. And it doesn't feel like it's because, they're better than you or anything like that. It just feels like you're in different phases of healing. And I feel like this person's been bent and broken so many times that it's like now when they're bent and broken, it's like, yeah, like there's this real, this kind of like, it's almost like it's exhilarating. It's like maybe they're into that sort of like extreme sports, like the Spartan races or the Tough Mudder, or those sorts of like they like the intensity of things. And I feel like that same intensity seems to be, it's like that's in all aspects of their life, including their focus and the physical attraction here with you. So hang on for a second. I feel like we need to touch on this. This is kind of again, please, I wish that there was a deck out there that didn't have genders on the cards. If anybody knows of a deck that is like that, please let me know in the comments, because I would love to have it if it isn't like, male or female assigned to the cards. So anyway, rant over. This is kind of the difference that I'm seeing with you guys. So it feels like your person, again, just like, we're just going to pretend like the faces aren't there so we can degender the cards, okay? I'm sorry, you know what I mean. I feel like your person over here is, they seem, listen, I'm not saying this to be, shizzy to them, but they seem to be a little bit C-O-C-K, what? C-O-C-K, yeah, that's right. Why? You know what I mean? It's like, even when they get the signal that like, yeah, it's cool, go get Sag, I feel like they're going to walk over, they're going to take their time, they're going to strut their stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, there's a real confidence about this person. And I feel like that seems to stem from this, that kind of the zest for life. You know what I mean? It's like they'd rather lose a fight than miss the war. And that doesn't mean that they go running into fights to lose them, right? They're not, because there is this, a real wisdom about this person. But I feel like there are some times where they will take a loss because of the experience. And what's interesting is that it's not just about the experience itself, right? It's more about like, they may take a loss now on a certain experience because they know that they're going to learn enough so that they can win later in the same realm, if that makes sense. So it would be akin to, if ever you've seen those commercials for like the Tough Mudder or whatever, sometimes they have like a half pipe that you have to run up. And it would be like this person running, like trying to get up the half pipe. I think that's what it's, or half pipe. It's probably a pipe. Sorry. So it's like this person trying to run up that and doing it over and over and over again, and maybe not being able to get it on the first time, but on subsequent runs, they can get it because they were willing to fail at it at first. You know what I mean? So it's this real, it actually feels like it would be a really inspiring person to be around, because it's, disappointment can't defeat them. And what's really interesting is they seem to like that you're a challenge here. It's almost like they seem to really enjoy that. It's like they seem to feel that you're somebody that would not put up with any of their shiz. You know what I mean? It's like not that they would play games, like, you know, that sort of thing, but it's like if they were mucking about or doing something that they shouldn't, but some people might not call them out because they are in the station in life that they're in. It's like you're gonna look at them and be like, don't do that. I don't like that. Don't do it again. And they seem to really like the strength that you have. Um, I feel like especially when it comes to calling them out and not like getting in their face and being argumentative for no reason, which that's not to say that that's what you would do anyway. Um, but it's like they really respect and almost kind of admire how you're able to call them out, but still make them feel respected, if that makes sense. But they also, I feel like this person actually seems to enjoy um, knowing that you are as tough as you are, and that if it came down to it and you had to swing that sword at them, look out, because um, they seem to like that there's a touch of like a wild card in you. I mean, I feel like they seem to be able to predict most people's movements, but there's something about you that it's like they almost don't even want to. Um, because I feel like they usually are pretty good at being able to figure people out, and it's like they don't want to do that because I feel like you surprise them with who you are and what you're capable of so far, that it's like they don't want to spoil it for themselves. You seem really interesting. And I actually feel like they really enjoy the fact that there's a little bit of coldness coming from you. I mean, obviously, they're not going to want you to freeze them out forever, right? But they don't want something that's easy. For somebody that wants something, it's like they don't mind things getting a little hard now so that they can kind of be triumphant later. Um, if it's almost like this person, it's like they live by that code where like anything worth having is worth fighting for. And it's like they like having to grow. They like if their, you know, level is here and they have to grow to this level to have what they want, they're like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? It's like another challenge. It feels like they really enjoy that. I do feel to a certain extent that sometimes they get a little bit kind of tired with it, but not to the extent that they're, you know, going to change anytime soon. If that makes sense. So we have the Nine of Swords as what's in your headspace, and this is for the cards we're talking about. You know, that your head has been doing a lot of work. I feel like you have been holding back you know, we all have, when I say like personal demons, it means it's talking about, we all have those self-defeating thoughts, right? Like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't this. Oh, I can't that. And I feel like you've actually been doing an excellent job of keeping them at bay. But I feel like to a certain extent, it's almost like they seem to be getting a bit harder to hold back. It feels like there's some confusion going on for you that um, I feel like you're kind of letting your heart do what it wants for right now. But I feel like to a certain extent, it's like up in your head, you're really doing a lot to hold. It's, you know what it feels like? It's almost like when shiz goes south, and it's like, of course, you would like to have a reaction and be upset or be angry or whatever, but you can't, because what you have to do is address whatever issue is at hand, right? So, for example, if somebody was riding their bike and they fell off and got injured, it's like, of course, you would rather, you know, have the emotional response of, oh my gosh, someone I care about is hurt, but you can't do that. You got to get the first aid kit. You need to, you know, either go to the doctor or whatever it is that you need to do. You have to handle the situation, and you can have the emotional reaction later. You know what I mean? It's like you just have to go into that mode. And that's not me telling you that you have to. That's, you know, I feel like what you would do anyway. And so it's almost like you're holding off this, what seems to be like a crowding. It's like there's this emotional response that is crowding things out. For example, if somebody falls off their bike and they're in a lot of pain, you know, they hurt their knee or something, it's scratched up. These kind of thoughts that are, sorry, one moment, please. Sorry about that, Sag. So the intrusive thoughts would be, you know, if somebody falls and scrapes their knee, it's like the intrusive thoughts that you kind of know can be held off for a while until you have more information. So it's worrying about, like, is this broken? Did they tear something? Is something sprained? You know what I mean? Like, did they hurt their ankle too? So all of that sort of stuff that, like, you don't have enough information to be worried about it right now. And I feel like you're doing enough to hold it back. But I feel like there seems to be more and more swords coming in. You know what I mean? There seems to be something that's piling up here. Hang on for a second. But I do feel, see this, there's this owl here. I feel like, I want to say reinforcements are on the way. Sorry. We had the King of Swords. Okay. So, I feel like there seems to be, I mean, the cards have already said that there's some clarity coming in. But when the King of Swords is referring to kind of like information coming in, it feels almost a little bit, it's like, it's cryptic, but the message to you is clear. It's like maybe there's some nuances that you may not understand in the beginning, but it's like the main message gets across. You know what I mean? Happen with swords. So the Page of Swords to me usually is, you know, it talks about the cold hard truth, but it's reversed here. So it does feel like there's something that's being hidden from you. Hold on for a second. Why? Or what? What's being hidden? We have the Five of Wands and Justice. Just a second here. I'm just going to sit with the cards for a second. Don't be mad. So, Sag, I feel like what's being hidden from you is that what you're dealing with right now, again, don't be mad at me. I mean, you can if you want, but it doesn't have to be this hard to fight it off. I feel like you may have been in this energy for such a long time that it's like, it's almost like it's a narrative that's played over and over and over again. So it's like there's because it's been a repetitive thought, it's like it gets bigger every time, right? And so going back to that same, like someone falling off their bike, and you're getting to a place where, like, well, maybe they've broken something or they've torn something, when in actuality, it's like they just kind of scraped their knee. You know what I mean? I feel like you may have gotten into a place where it's almost like you were taking in so much information that it's almost like you couldn't help but have it kind of leak over into other things. If that makes sense? I hope that makes sense. But anyway, so it's like all of this extra information seems to have kind of like, it was overflowing, so it's almost kind of leaked into any point it could find. And I feel like to a certain extent it's caused some of these thoughts. And I feel like the reason you're able to hold it back, the reason you're able to do that is because there's, like, in the back of your mind, you know that even if those things are happening right now, even if they are true, like, I almost want to say, like, there isn't anything that can be done about them right now. I feel like the reason that's being hidden from you is actually because you don't do this. I feel like you actually might be annoyed, disappointed, a little bit angry at yourself when you figure that out. I feel like it might make you want to shut off from people. Hold on. Because it's almost like if you have been living in a, self-made prison, so to speak, it's almost like you might not want to be around other people because it'll feel, even just kind of like interacting with them, it just feels like you kind of want to protect your space. Yeah. So we have Temperance. It came out kind of like this, so I'm assuming it needs to be reversed. I feel like what the owl is bringing here, obviously, is this message, but it's almost like there's a certain coping mechanism, there's a certain pattern of behavior that you've had that served you well in the past, and I feel like it's time to let that go. It's time to let yourself see things differently. It's almost like it's time to drop the veil. There's a way that you've been living that actually you've been building your life to live very differently. It's just like, because you were so focused on like, I'm going to push through, I'm going to get to the other side of this, you got to the other side of it. And I feel like you were in that energy for so long that it's like, even though your external world has actually started to shift, it started to reflect the changes that you've made and the fact that you were holding back all of that stuff, right? So it's almost like here's this owl to kind of bring you the message that if you would open your eyes, right? Because their eyes are closed. It's like actually all of these swords, all of this kind of like trapping energy. I want to say like it's not in reality anymore. It's almost like maybe you were living in a room like this, but because of the changes that you've made, it's like it's been broken down and I want to say like it's just not there. In a like figurative way, right? So in your heart space, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So it feels very similar, I'll be honest, to this Person of Swords, right? I feel like it's interesting because I feel like you're a youthful old soul, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like you're able to connect people on a level, or connect with people and understand certain things the way an old soul would. But at the same time, you seem to have this, it's not even quite a youthful way about you. It feels like to a certain extent, it's like a youthful way of dealing with things. And not immature, okay, but almost like it's like there are some things that other people might let slip and you don't. You know what I mean? It's like that when age kind of tempers us. Speaking from experience, that doesn't seem to have affected you as much as others. I feel like you're still actually a kid at heart, but it's almost like you are saving that part of yourself for somebody that actually freaking deserves it. And listen, man, if anytime I kind of touch back on this King of Wands behavior, I can feel the energy, like it's just waiting to come into the reading again. So I feel like this person might not expect quite what they're going to get from you. I mean, it certainly feels like they're going to be, it's like you seem to be so much more multifaceted than they expected. I feel like to a certain extent you even have a bit of earth in maybe it's in your chart, but you do have a certain earthy quality to you. And by that, I mean like it's going back to that, there's more substance in you. then people realize, I feel like you feel underestimated by most people. And to a certain extent, that may have driven you to push really hard to prove them wrong. And I mean, I understand that maybe a lot of us feel that way when we're young, but you still feel that way. You still see it in people. It's like, you know that people don't give you the credit that you're due. And I feel like to a certain extent, that also is something that has kicked you into this Queen of Swords energy. Because it's like, if people aren't going to freaking appreciate what you're giving them, then, you know, exit stage left. Sag isn't going to give you that part of themselves anymore. So the last card here, we have the Six of Cups. I almost want to be like, ooh. So the Six of Cups talks about that really sweet, nostalgic sort of memories, you know, when you're all caught up in those feel-good memories. And I mean, it could be, it doesn't feel like it's a strong energy, so it probably won't be for everybody. It could be to a certain extent that this person and you have a prior connection. If it isn't in this lifetime, I definitely feel like the two of you have encountered each other in other lifetimes. I'm just not so sure that you've ever been this close to actually, like, it's almost like there were two ships passing in the night rather than actually having an interaction. It almost feels like I feel that you've been waiting for this person, but wait. Not in the like, oh, you're sitting here pining, waiting by the phone. Like, excuse me, Saggies, don't do that, right? Sorry, one moment. I actually feel that there seems to be a certain defensiveness towards this soul, because I feel like, it feels to a certain extent that it's like either this person has already tried to make something work with you, or they've tried in previous lifetimes and their efforts fell short of what was required to have you. And I feel like it's like even you may be a little bit surprised about why you're so defensive towards this person. And I feel like because it's not just being defensive towards this attempt, if that makes sense. I feel it's almost like there's this ingrained intuitive nudge that says that, sorry, my son's just texting me. It seems that there's this intuitive nudge that this person has, you know, they've effed up before. Okay, let's just say it how I heard it. Sorry, all of a sudden I'm feeling a bit strange. So they have messed up before with you. It may not have been in this lifetime, but they have. And I feel like to a certain extent, there's a bit of exhaustion on their end. Because it feels to them, and again, maybe not in this lifetime, it feels to them that like they just never get their chance. It's never the right freaking time. And for somebody who has the zest for life that this person of Wands does, it's like, I feel like to a certain extent, the reason you can't get a good read on their face is because, yes, there is that physical draw. And of course, they, you know, are quite intrigued with you. But it almost feels like it's, sometimes it feels like they might feel defeated before they even start. And I feel like that's because things haven't worked out in the past. I mean, obviously, or you wouldn't be in this reading, right? So, I think we're going to pull an advice card. Just try Get my leg out of the way so I can open my drawer. Can we get an advice card? Advice for Sagittarius and February. Advice. Aw. Oh, interesting. So we have the World card reversed. And the World talks about kind of closing out those cycles and allowing things to kind of come to a natural end and starting a new one. And maybe not everybody is going to like me saying this, but this is what I'm hearing. So, I mean, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. But what I'm hearing is that the two of you owe it to yourself to at least try. It feels like it might be hard to get started. It might be one of those things where it's like, for the love of God, why is this so freaking hard? And it's not even that the two of you are having a hard time getting along. It just feels like the two of you are having a hard time being in the same place at the same freaking time. Sorry, So we have the King of Pentacles, and of course, this person of Pentacles talks about a very steady, like a good provider, a good protector, a good family person. But in this deck, it actually talks about fear. And I feel that this person actually seems to have a bit more fear than you do, because I feel like you have no qualms about, cutting this off if you have to. But I feel like to a certain extent that they don't want you to be, it's like they seem to be afraid that you won't accept them. I almost want to say that, like, that you won't feel that they have enough, and not enough, money or whatever, but it's just like, I feel like you might end up not having this person approach you as quickly as you thought that they would, only because they don't want to come in before you're ready, because they don't want to end up in a situation like this. And I feel like, you know what, this energy I really love. This person does not feel like they're going to come in and play a game or tell you a story to get you to do what they want you to do. It feels like this person is, like, they're not going to come in and try to schmooze you, that's the right word. They're going to come in and they're going to tell you, like, they're not going to, tell you everything that they're feeling about you, but they don't want to come in and kind of like jump the GUN and ruin it. So I do feel that it's like this person's going to make absolutely sure that every T is crossed, all the I's are dotted, and that you're 100% kind of ready before they make their approach. So I think I will leave it there. Excuse me. This person seems pretty focused on you, and I actually feel like you may end up being quite focused on them. So I hope it works out for the both of you. I feel like if the two of you let your guards down, it could. But again, that's up to the two of you, right? So I will stop rambling. If you'd like a private reading with me, my email is below in the description box. If you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you guys. And I will have some singles reads come out next week. And then the week after that will be the special Valentine's reads. So please keep an eye out for that. And we'll see you on the next one. Much love. Bye.